Yango Unplugged is more than a book. It's a reflection of who I am as a leader and who I've been as a human being.
When we are talking about clarity of decision making, it really helps someone who is in a leadership position.
You have to drive forward because two things you never get back is your time and your energy.
What do you think about women in leadership? How have that changed?
Female leaders are really good at doing multiple things.
If we see statistics, what is the level of unhappiness in today's corporate world?
Thank you so much for having me, Mohsinaa. I really enjoyed that conversation. Podcasts like yours, they are so important in today's world.
Hi everyone, I'm Mohsinaa. Welcome back to Self-Discovery Podcast. Today on Self-Discovery Podcast, we welcome Premal Patel, known as Prem, a visionary leader, coach and mentor whose career has been dedicated to transforming people, teams and organizations. Premal is the founder of Teacock World and author of Yango Unplugged, and has an extensive experience across the UK, Middle East and GCC. Premal has built a strong reputation for simplifying complex challenges, driving customer-focused innovations and helping create high-performance, high-impact teams. His career includes senior leadership roles such as Senior Director Marketing at American Express Bahrain, where he played a key part in major product launches including Amex Centurion, Gold Smart credit card and several well-known brand partnerships. He also served as Executive Vice President at Bates Pan Gulf, shaping regional strategy and leading major client initiative across finance, telecom and property sectors. As a trustee of the Harrow Academic Trust, Premal brings broad-level insights, strategic thinking, and a deep commitment to coaching and development. Please join me in welcoming Premal Patel, also known as Prem, to the show Self-Discovery Podcast with me, Mohsinaa Ahmad. Hi Prem, how are you doing today?
Hi, Mohsinaa. I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
What inspired you to start Teacock World and how did you develop its core mission?
I'll take it a step back because probably about 2 years ago, after 28 years in the corporate world across 3 continents, working with some of the biggest brands in the world, I did a bit of soul searching. And I was at that point where I was thinking, oh yeah, I've got a successful career. Where am I going with this? Do I just carry on in the corporate world, or do I take what I've learned and what I share into the big bad world and do it differently? And when I did some soul searching with my coach, so my coach was a wonderful lady in the US who's been coaching executives for 50 years. She and I got talking. And the one thing I found, Mohsinaa, was I had to find happiness in my career. And I think at that point, I wasn't very happy. So over the last couple of years, I had to think about how do I let go of what is and move on? How do I enjoy what I'm doing? And how do I have sort of faith in what I will be doing? And I always have had this sort of capability of transforming organizational cultures. I've inherited some toxic cultures. I've had to change them around and transform them into award-winning cultures. And, we have been recognized in some of the work I did with industry accolades on culture transformation. And that's the sort of thing. And culture change comes through people. And I love working with people. So I wanted to combine all of my skills of growing teams, growing individuals, coaching individuals, and thinking, how do I do this and go into the big bad world and go alone? And that's how I sort of set up Teacock World, which is all about performance.
What is the main focus of Teacock and how does it shift mindsets?
Great question. And I think after COVID, if I go back to COVID, the world changed for everybody. The way we worked, the way we engaged each other, the way we communicated in organizations. And if you think what's happening now, a lot of organizations are going through a lot of chaos and uncertainty. and it keeps continuing. It's getting harder, it seems, for leaders. And what I wanted to do is bring simple, practical skills and tools and exercises and techniques that worked for me and take them to similar people who are struggling right now, because it's scary. It's scary to leave your job. I left my corporate job last December, just before Christmas, and I set up my new business in January, so within 4 weeks. And I knew I was on a mission. And one thing that the simple sort of learnings out of TCOP that I share is that, look, first, my sort of mantra to a degree is don't attach yourself to a person, a company, a project, or an organization. What you need to do, and that's what we all do as careerists in corporate world, you end up thinking, okay, the company will look after me, the leadership will look after me. Nobody does, and it's a real fact. Everybody looks out for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with looking out for yourself and thinking about yourself. So what I try and do is say, hey, listen, what you should attach yourself to is a goal, a calling that is like a magnet that you're moving towards, a mission and your purpose, and so my purpose, which I found through the soul searching, is to inspire and improve the quality of life of as many people as I can. And this is what I try and do through TCOP, through the strategies and techniques that help others build and create better human connections. And through human connections in our new fast-paced AI world is becoming one of the strongest capabilities that will help people succeed.
Would you like to share one of those techniques with us today?
Yeah, I think one of those techniques is a simple 2-minute decision-making technique. I've used it for years. We are all working so hard. We have to make decisions. And what's happening is now there's a fear. There seems to be a fear around the world of making decisions because you have to take accountability. So the 2-minute technique is simple. When you have a challenge or you have to make a decision, get a stopwatch. Everyone has a smartphone now, pretty much. So you can put the stopwatch on for 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, write down as many solutions to that decision that you have to make as possible. At the end of the 2 minutes, have a quick look. Look at the top 3 that become the ones that really resonate with you. And there's always going to be one that will stand out. Go ahead, make the decision and don't fear it. People can make decisions, big decisions in 2 minutes, and it really works.
Absolutely amazing, that technique that you have just spoken about. Who is it for? Is it for the middle management? Is it for someone who is at the top leadership? Because when we are talking about clarity of decision making, it really helps someone who is in a leadership position, who can decide for the team and tell them that this is what you need to do. So who is it that you see benefiting from it?
There are probably 3 levels. I really start with the executive leadership team, because they have to make decisions, and they have to make decisions and make choices every single day, every hour of the day, and their choices impact so many people in the organization. So I start with executive leadership and at board level. The techniques are also applicable to senior managers and directors of organizations, because they are also leaders, and their teams will see them as a role model first. If they don't show the right behavior and the right leadership behavior, and they don't show that they can make choices, then their team are not going to make choices, and they will not take ownership of what they're doing. And then you have to go a little bit down. So I actually apply some of my techniques even at university graduate level, those who are coming out of university about to take their first jobs, because it's really difficult for youngsters now to get into the careers they want. AI is disrupting the way people are recruiting and who they're recruiting. And some of these graduates don't have those skills coming out of universities, and they need to make hard choices. So I go right down to the base level of you have to take ownership and accountability at all levels now. In the old day, when I started in banking back in 1993, it was many years ago, we always felt that the leaders, the senior directors and the executive leaders, they're the only ones who made a decision, and they're the only ones who led the company. But over time, that's changed. Leadership happens at all levels.
That's really true. Prem, you have authored Young Up Unplugged. What is the book all about, and what is the key message that someone can take away from this book?
So Younger Unplugged. So Younger is actually a real word from West Africa. So my roots go back to Africa, in East Africa, in fact, for many years, and that's where I was born. But Yanga actually stands for having a positive attitude to life, a lot of self belief, self confidence, and holding your ground in difficult situations. So, Yanga Unplugged, I've turned it into Your Actions Nourish Growth Ambitions. And each of the chapters work its way through about yourself first, your actions and why they're important, how you nourish your actions and nourish your decisions and make the right choices, how you grow and how you achieve your ambitions. Yanga Unplugged is more than a book. It's not a biography either. It's a reflection of, I suppose, who I am as a leader and who I've been as a human being through my 30-year corporate world. I've experienced good, bad, and ugly in the corporate world in terms of decisions, in terms of being left aside on promotions, sometimes due to my skin color, due to ethnicity, and all sorts of different situations. Sometimes I was too young and they felt I wasn't ready. But this is an authentic, sort of grounded and sort of really deeply intentional book to bring real life experiences, my personal journey and experiences to the audience to make things real. It's a spark, challenges people to really dig deep into their own belief and self-belief and self-confidence, because resilience is lacking right now, Mohsinaa. And I find in the world, people are just not as resilient as they used to be. And maybe that's after COVID and the last few years have been really tough. But how do you dig deep, believe in yourself, and take meaningful action towards growth and the life you desire? It's easy to say somebody will do it for me, but nobody is there to save you, and you have to do it yourself.
Absolutely. Your choices, your responsibility. That's a very powerful thing that you have spoken. You've been in the industry for so many years. You have connected with many people in different leadership formats. When you see leadership, what are the three things leaders lack?
So if I take it a step back, Mohsinaa, I've come out of some really hard sectors, industry sectors, financial services, banking, retail, really, really hard places where you have to show a real true leadership spirit. What I'm seeing now is you have to be an authentic leader. You have to put yourself out there and let people in. What that means is you have to try and live a truly empowered life as a leader. Many leaders are not good at this. They're not good at sharing what they're feeling. They're not good at sharing what's on their mind because they think, hey, that's a sign of weakness. And it's not. It's actually a sign of strength when you can bring people into your world. So there's three things I think when a leader has to really be truly empowered and feel they are empowered to get on, they have to be able to make choices and mistakes and grow through those. It's easy to celebrate all the successes because that's the good thing, but you have to celebrate some of those mistakes and choices that are hard that may not go your way, because that becomes really, truly liberating for very many individuals and leaders. The second thing is they have to know that they are in control to power and shape their own life and other people who report into them in the organization. No matter what the circumstance, they have to be able to embrace that power and step into the driver's seat. So I always talk about you have to drive forward, because two things you never get back in any of the world, whether you're a leader or you're just an employee, is your time and your energy. So where you invest your time and energy, you never get those back. So if you're investing your time and energy in energy drainers who suck the energy out of you and drain you at the end of the day, then that's your choice. And many leaders will just keep going down that path because they think that's the right thing to do. The third thing is that they have to create a future that really reflects their values and aspirations. And that's how you bring your authentic self out. So it's not about what happens to you. It's really about how much self-belief you have and how you make things change and make things happen for other people. A true sign of a good leader is the performance is not about just the numbers or the tick box that I've done this work. It's about how you grow your team and that team elevates and feels empowered and enabled.
Do you think that today's leaders, they lack these three things? Or how do you come in and how do you probably imbibe these qualities that you have spoken at different levels in an organization?
Unfortunately, many leaders do lack those, because they have a fear. They have a fear of failure. They have a fear of consequence because they think if they become authentic and they share openly what's going on, they feel that maybe the board or other leaders at different levels will see them differently. And maybe they won't get the performance bonus at the end of the year. There's all sorts of consequences. But the one thing I found is leaders are fearing making decisions and taking action. Many of my own network, when I talk to many people around the world, because I get into various groups of networks and we talk openly, there seems to be this fear of making a decision and moving things forward. They're waiting for others to do it, but nobody's going to do that. So you have to feel comfortable in yourself that I may not have 100% of the information or the insight, but I'm 80% there. And I always go by this rule of, if you can please 80% of the people most of the time, you're doing okay. If you try and please 100% of the people, you're never going to, because there's no such thing as perfection. And many leaders right now try to strive for perfection. It's the wrong goal.
The corporate industry, how much are they investing in empowering their leadership positions?
There's a lot of investment going on in all sectors. I mean, if you think now in the world, how many people are coaches? You hear about new coaches all the time. People come out of the corporate world, hey, I'm a coach or I'm a mentor or something. This coaching thing has become the new growth, the new phenomenon right now, and unfortunately, it's also losing its shine a little bit because at one point, coaching really did mean something, very strong for executive leaders. Now, a lot of people can come out of the corporate world and say, hey, I'm a coach, and they start coaching people without qualifications. So I think it's a very, very difficult situation right now. In all sectors, what I'm seeing is there is a big investment that is going into talent development, growth, and personal development for individuals. But if you think about how much money, and the money goes into billions and billions of dollars in training, and that's why you see so many new fledgling training businesses that are coming out. But a real fact is only 30% of the global employee base is actually thriving. These are 30% of people who actually are super productive, super performing, high performers, high impact. So imagine all that money that's going into waste for the 70% that are underperforming.
Absolutely. That's really true. What do you think about women in leadership? How have that changed? What are the three aspects that women bring in and which probably would not have been there otherwise?
Look, women leadership is absolutely critical. And, I have been a massive fan of employing the right talent, not just because it's a female or a male. I always look at the talent and, the sort of diversity, equity and inclusion sort of agenda that has been there for many years. I've been one of the key drivers in my previous organizations to really bring DEI to the front and start really driving forward with some actions. So much so, it just so happens that my entire leadership, when I was in my last corporate job with a company called Catalina Marketing, where I was the MD of the UK and on the board of Europe, my entire leadership team were all female. I had five senior directors. They were all female. They were recruited because they had the best talent. It wasn't because we just needed to get females in. What I did find is that they were super productive. So I think what females are good at and what we as males are not good at. We are not good males at multitasking. 100%. We can focus on one thing at a time and do that well. Female leaders are really good at doing multiple things across all day long, and they make that all work really. And I've noticed that both in my personal life and, professional life, that men try to be that, but we're not. So women are, they bring the sort of productivity. They drive up productivity in organizations. They bring the diversity of thinking because they see things with a different lens. I see things, you and I will probably see the same problem in a different way, or we see the challenge in a different way, and we bar off each other, that way. So they see things with a different lens. And what I find is the female leadership teams that I've worked with were much more empathetic towards the employees, which helped us improve the culture of the organization.
You spoke about soul searching and being unhappy even after achieving and working with the best of the corporate industry. If we see statistics or if we see the data, what is the level of unhappiness in today's corporate world, and what are the things that they should do to maintain that balance of thought process, of alignment in themselves?
It's hard to say what the unhappiness is in a lot of organizations. I mean, I can speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I knew myself, I was doing really well. I was taking on big bonuses every year. And I thought the financial side, I'm a sales guy, right? So, right from a young age, I was driven on the sales commissions, the sales bonuses, marketing, seeing big campaigns out there. That gave me a real buzz. I think over time, those things just became transactional for me, and I think from a happiness point of view is I wanted to spend more time on the helping people grow, seeing others succeed and seeing others move up. And that gave me the sort of fire in my belly. But unfortunately, in the world I worked in, we were so busy. I got sucked into a lot of the day-to-day admin, the board meeting preparations, and all the stuff that you think, oh my God, why are we doing all these reports? Who even reads them, right? Nobody does this stuff. So sometimes as leaders, you get really pushed into directions just because the organization has always done this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes then there's a reluctance to change. And what I'm finding now is change is constant. Every single day, something happens. I think we should get rid of the word change. It's just normal. That's all it is now. And most leaders struggle to manage change and manage it really, really effectively. And so I think from that point of view, I got more happiness seeing people grow, empowering them and seeing them flourish. We won an award for the great place to work for women in leadership. That gave me a bigger buzz than just getting my annual bonus. And I thought, I want to take this out and try and encourage other leaders, not just male, female as well, to say, here's how you open up your world. And there might be different ways for you to feel good about what you're doing, because most jobs nowadays is very, very tick box and transactional, but you have to be enjoyable for yourself.
Irrespective of male or female gender, an empowered individual, I would say.
That's exactly it.
Yes, absolutely well said. And thank you so much for being on this and sharing your insights on it. And it is an honor.
So thank you so much for having me, Mohsinaa. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think, podcasts like yours today, they are so important in today's world because it's really important for others to hear people's stories because there's always someone who will connect with the stories. And I think what's happening now, it goes back to people don't have time, but they have time to listen and see podcasts like this. So that's why there's such a growth of these amazing platforms, especially your platform that you've created. Personally, keep doing what you're doing and do more of it. There are people out there who will listen, who will join in and, share their stories. And I think you've got a fantastic platform for people to do that.